Get ready to whiten those knuckles and hold fast as we talk the most dangerous, daring, and epic sea stories ever told.
Whether facing ruthless men who prey on other mariners or storms that turn calm seas into graveyards, those who go down to the sea and cast off lines enter the most challenging and dangerous environment on Earth.
Only here will you hear their stories and the lessons gained through their experience. I'm your host, Phil.
And I'm Bill.
And we welcome you aboard They Had to Go Out podcast. Before we dive into this episode, we need to provide a disclaimer. The views expressed on this podcast are those of the individuals involved and are not to be construed as official or reflecting the views of any government agency or military service. This podcast is an independent effort with no government association. Another one to check out is the Always Ready Collective, which delivers art by and for some daring fighters of the sea. Head over to Etsy, Facebook, or Instagram and search Always Ready Collective to check out their Coast Guard and maritime-focused tattoo flash, pinups, and propaganda. You won't be disappointed.
We like them. Yeah, welcome everybody. If it's your first time, we're glad you're here. We got a little bit of a different thing going on today. Hopefully you like it. We're going to have a little bit of fun. If you're listening to the sound of my voice, I know you have an internet-enabled device. So if you're driving in your car, don't do this. But otherwise, go to the Coast Guard Museum and pledge some money to them. We need to get this thing built. We love them. We love talking about it. We want to get it built. Even if it's just $1, get your name on there and be part of it.
Yeah, sooner or later you're not going to be able to be a plank owner anymore because it's already going to be built by people other than you. So get in there, get your name on it.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go off too long on this. I'm kind of getting off subject, but I was thinking the other day, like a month ago, I was in the D.C. area with my family. We went to the Marine Corps Museum.
Solid museum.
It's awesome. Like you come out of there like ready to go to Marine Corps boot camp. It's awesome, right? We need something like that. We deserve something like that. We don't do nearly what they do, but we're just as cool. We've got just as many cool stories to tell.
We just do it every day. That's,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
yeah. And
it's the difference.
We know what 2 + 2 is. There's that going on too.
Also true.
We need something like that, and this is what that's going to be. So be a part of it.
Cool. I like that. Hey, so like Bill said, we're going to do it a little different today. Trying to think of getting the holiday spirit, I guess.
Right.
And it's Halloween, All Hallows Eve's coming up next week. People are decorating everything. I heard that at Training Center Yorktown, the Boat Forces Center staff just won
that.
for their door contest.
Yeah,
so,
like the grand prize, I think.
Yeah, the grand prize. So pretty epic on those guys for doing that. But congratulations to the Boat Forces staff. They beat the Yeomen, the OSs,
the whole base,
the entire base.
And they're underway instructors, and they still had time to beat everybody.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest command in the Coast Guard, biggest training command, right?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Pretty sure. Cool feat. But anyway, hey, so you're thinking about what to do for Halloween. I've reached out to a few people, tried to find some ghost stories. Everyone's got a ghost story,
right? Because all of our boats, cutters, and buildings are 700 years old,
right?
So they're all haunted, right?
Seen tons of death, seen tons of terrible stuff. So we thought that I've got a ghost story. Bill's got a ghost story. We just make it easy and tell you guys a couple ghost stories.
And if you guys have cool ghost stories, send them to us. We'd like to at least read them. Maybe we'll tell them another time.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm going to think you're all full of crap, but I'd totally love to hear them. I like to read. I like to be entertained. So, but there's definitely things that we see out there that just boggle the mind and defy science and all that, but I'm sure you guys have seen it, so like Bill said, send them to us. With that, I'm going to go ahead and ask Bill. So
right.
What's
my ghost story?
Well, it's got to be a cool line. What's your most spooky, horrific tale of sea scaredry? I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
We didn't rehearse.
Didn't drink enough.
So I don't have anything. Nothing's ever happened to me that was like super scary or like one of the great because I've heard some really good ones.
You've never been taken into the other world.
I never fell through a portal in Walmart and got rescued by Tupac or anything like that.
On the back of the TV, on the other side. Yeah.
Right, that never happened to me. But I will say, when I was a non-rate on the cutter Buckthorn in Sault Ste. Marie. Shout out to Sault Ste. Siberia. And that boat, it was a one-person duty section. It was over, and we were all qualified. Like, you were there by yourself at night in the dark, and it's older. It was commissioned in, I think, 63, if I'm wrong, but it was early 60s, right? And the way that thing's set up, basically, like, the mess deck's all the way aft, and it's like a half deck down from like the main P-way, the only P-way really. So you'd be sitting on the mess deck, like if you weren't doing around, what do we all do? Sit on the mess deck and watch TV or something, right? Play video games, whatever.
Stand diligent watch.
Stand a diligent watch. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were sitting just right, you could see up the passageway, and at the kind of forward part of the house or the superstructure, before you get out on the buoy deck, there's a real small athwartships passageway where, like, there's a door on either side, you know. And I swear to you that more than one time, out of the corner of my eye, there was nobody else on board, because I went and looked around the boat every time. Somebody would just like walk back and forth across that athwartships passageway, and other people on the boat were like, "Oh yeah, see it all the time. Sure, it happened." Don't have any background on it. Don't have any like.
Could you hear it?
Couldn't hear anything. You'd just be like watching TV and be like, "What the?" And you'd look and be like, "No, that didn't." Yeah. That one, and then this one didn't happen to me, but I love this story. I was a third and a second on the.
Do you believe it? Like, when you saw that, did you, like,
absolutely.
You told yourself in your mind, like, dude, that's somebody walking or something.
I did not sleep that night. I can tell you,
really?
The only time I left the mess deck was to do my last round, and then I went back on the mess deck, and every light on the cutter was on the rest of the night. Like, for sure. That's not a lot of lights. Bucky's not a big boat, but they were all on. So when I was on Ida Lewis, I didn't experience this, but I heard this story from now Commander Mark Chrysler. He was lieutenant at the time. He was our CO up there. I'm pretty sure, don't quote me. Actually, you can quote me. He either is or was CO of the Oak up in Newport, Rhode Island now. Aton legend. Shout out to Mr. Chrysler. He told us a story that when he was doing his like fam ride to take over as CO on Ida Lewis, people were telling him like about who Ida Lewis was. For those of you who don't know, like all the 175, the keeper class, those are all kind of in an area close to where the person they're named after did their stuff, like near the lighthouse or whatever that they were all
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
With that being said, he said that he was learning about Ida Lewis, like on the bridge, just kind of BSing. And
it's what, Homeport and Lime
Rock Lime Rock Light is in Newport, Rhode Island.
Does it still exist? Is there still a light?
It's a yacht club now, and it's attached to land now. Like, it doesn't look nearly as impressive as it probably did in the 70s when the town didn't come the whole way out there and everything else.
Right. It was just a little isolated rock.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Rock island.
But with that being said, they were talking about Ida Lewis, and somebody mentioned, she's credited with 18 rescues. They told some stories, and my understanding is Mr. Chrysler kind of like went, yeah, whatever. Basically, like, sounded like he didn't believe it. Well, the way he told the story right at that moment in time, the MPCMS system in the ship shut everything down for half an hour. Nobody had any idea why, but they were dead ship, just like floating out in the bay for like half an hour.
Because he trash-talked Ida Lewis.
Because he trash-talked Ida Lewis. So you never speak bad. If anybody who's on Ida now, don't ever speak bad about Ida.
Or do it, but make sure your camera's rolling like at the same time. Yeah, because I want to see it. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What do you think afterwards? Was he like he a big Ida Lewis fan?
Oh yeah, no, like because he would tell that story on the bridge, be like, yeah, we don't ever say anything bad about Ida Lewis.
Nice.
Like,
that's good. That's solid. Good. So, all right, I'll go into mine.
All right, Phil.
It was a dark and stormy night.
Phil's a better storyteller.
I'm not really. Station Golden Gate, right at the base of the North Tower of the Golden Gate Bridge, in all its majestic beauty. Gorgeous scenery everywhere. Station's beautiful, but there's so much death that comes off that bridge.
Right.
And it's been doing it for years. I mean, before the station was on the north side of the bridge in Marin County, it was down in the city side in San Fran. And, it's from the time they built the bridge, they were recovering jumpers.
Right.
But that said, just the weirdest things would happen at Station Golden Gate.
Yeah.
So there were two spots that I can think of that were just like kind of mind blowing when you got back, especially like being a impressionable 20-year-old kid.
Right.
Just some things, I don't know, some things you're not prepared for.
Right.
So coming back on the 47, I just remember it being night. I don't know where we were coming back from, what was going on. You drive into the boat's basin, and then you kind of like bang a left to go to the docks, right? But as you drive into the basin, you can see the whole station like broadside to you, the whole front of it. And on the far right, there's a stairwell.
Okay.
And it's just a stair. It's like any emergency exit, right? But it's like
fire escape.
Yeah, completely closed in and everything. But just this big I think it's 2-story stairwell. And there was a window at the top.
Okay.
And you could see it looked like a light show going on, but like a creepy one, right?
Right.
I mean, it's just a white light, almost like a strobe light or something was going off. And no one's at the station. The OD's there, and the watchstander, I think, and that was about it. So we're like pulling in. Didn't really think anything of it other than like, man, that's weird, right?
Right.
Park the boat, get out. Somebody brings it up like, man, what was in the stairwell? Nobody knows, right? And it keeps happening.
Oh, really? Like this isn't just a one time.
That was like a one-off. That was the first time I ever
Right.
saw it. And it just keeps it keeps building with just weird light shows, weird lights, weird. There's only one light in this stairwell. It's like a fluorescent, piece of crap
Right.
at the top. So it's not real bright. And this is bright. Like this is straight strobe light
Right.
status. So one day I'm standing OD and I'm making my round right before bed. Everybody's asleep. Watchstander's passed out. I was up late, like doing paperwork. Come around to the front of the station, just kind of walking the fence line, enjoying the view across the bay, and I kind of catch like the light coming out, right? And I turn behind me and I see from that same window like this crazy light. And then I'm just like
So what
staring
do you do?
at
Like,
it.
do you run into to see what's going on?
Well,
or?
at first I'm like, what is it? Just
Right.
I'm just looking at it. And then it goes bright, dude. And it like legitimately just a bright white light. And a girl passes in front of it.
Oh.
Right? You can't see her, man. You can see like the profile, you can see the outline. Definitely tell it's like female, and it's totally one of those like white flowing dress.
Right,
Kind of,
like-
you know what I mean? That's just the vibe.
I'm
I
imagining
got.
like the beginning of Ghostbusters, like the one floating around the library.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
But all I'm seeing is like the silhouette.
Right.
So I don't even know how I saw the silhouette. Whatever. It was very disturbing, because I'm looking at it, I'm like, what? What is this? Went over to the door, right? I'm the OD, man. You gotta investigate. You gotta figure out
Safety and
what
security, right?
non-rate's getting crazy up there,
Right.
right? Open the door, blackness.
Nothing, right?
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's like a red light from the. It's actually a red light instead of a white light from
Oh.
the. Like to exit,
Like the
right?
exit
Emergency
lights, yeah.
exit, and nothing. Okay, well, let's go upstairs. Like look around, don't see anything, and then just chalked it up as God. That was weird, right? Golden Gate, you see weird things.
Right. Other people saw this too.
Oh
Like,
yeah. Well, coming back out, right? Like again later, we keep seeing it.
Right.
And now it's become, by the time I've been there for a while, and it takes a while to get in the know at Golden Gate, I
Right.
think, like to get.
Well, anywhere's like that. Like, so you're there for a while and you know all the like stories and weird
You get
stuff.
accepted,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
people start telling you the weird things that happen. Yeah. So then it just became a thing. There was this lady that lived in the stairwell that was creepy as hell, right?
Wow.
And noises, light shows, whatever. But as soon as you went up there, gone.
Right.
No one's ever like. As far as I knew when I was there, no one had ever seen her like face to face. It was always something that was kind of at the top deck of the
Right.
stairwell. Crazy.
If you're at Station Golden Gate or you've been there, hit us up. Tell us if you've ever seen that.
Yeah, and if you know her name, I have a couple guesses.
Oh, really?
Bridge jumper went well before her time. Mm-hmm. That was kind of the guess.
But the ladder well, like, why of all places? Like,
Yeah, I don't know, man, because it's
You
hard
expect
to
it
tell.
to be, like, on the
No
bridge
one
or
goes
something,
up there
right?
either. It was
Right.
like it was totally an area. The only people that went up there are the non-rates who were trying to avoid like work. Right?
Right.
Like totally going around the outside. I don't
Right.
blame them. I'm just saying that's who went there. So really hard to tell. No clue.
that's crazy. I told you Phil's a better storyteller.
It was weird. The other one, so this one's kind of, we brought this one on ourselves. They say like, evil like begets evil or whatever,
Sure.
right? I have no idea if this is evil, but it seems kind of evil. The boathouse at Station Golden Gate. You want to talk about 10 times more creepy than the stairwell at the station.
Is this like one of the old school boathouses where like it had the rails once upon a time?
Nope, this is just like a little, we call it a boathouse, but really it's like a gear locker.
Okay.
So it's got people's ready bags, if they got to run to the boat, grab their Mustangs, their life jackets, helmets, whatever. They run in here, grab their bag. At the time, I don't know what it looks like now.
Right.
And they would run down to the boats. And the thing that we probably did that we shouldn't have done, right? There was we called it the dead sled. And it wasn't just jumpers; it was any body, right? And this just happened to be the Stokes litter that we used for everything. It was plastic. It was easy to clean. It wasn't metal, so you never even if it was a messy situation, it was easy to clean out. But we had one, and this is where it's at, all the time.
Right.
So you can imagine, people were asked to sleep in it sometimes. People were asked to...
I don't know if that's evil, but it's crappy.
It was, there's... that thing got a lot of use.
I'm sure.
Operational use. And it also probably got a lot of, humor use. But, again, no clue if it's there anymore.
Right.
Speak of the people that were there at the time. But one of the dares back in the day was to spend a night in the dead sled. If you never spent a night in a Station Golden Gate dead sled, I don't think you know what scared is.
Yeah, I don't think I'd do it. I don't think sitting here I'm going, yeah, no.
It's just the mind games.
Right. 20-something me probably would have done it. Now, no, that's dumb.
Yeah, I'd say you see this 1,000-yard stare. This
right.
20-something me did it.
Right.
I don't know how to explain it. I think it was mostly mind games. I wouldn't say I saw anything physically. But the things that you saw in your mind were unimaginable. Just the amount of death and carnage. But, you're sitting in the sled, you've already seen some of the people that have been carried in it, right? And, that's your job, really, is to go help these people.
Sounds like it's almost
recover.
more like a PTSD trigger.
Yeah, maybe. It could be. It was, but definitely, I don't know, man. I think you could charge for it at some point.
That's super creepy.
Pretty wild, yeah.
Yeah. But I wonder if it would have, the same effect, if I went in there, right? Never having recovered anybody, never having been stationed there. Yeah.
It was actually part of the thing was, as time went on anyway, when I was there, was you didn't sleep in it unless you hadn't recovered one yet. So it was kind of before you even got on the boat.
I believe that's defined as hazing.
Well, again, there's a different Coast Guard, right? Before you got onto the boat, you had to go
do not condone any of this behavior now.
No one was forced to sleep in it.
Right.
Right. That's I can definitely tell you that. No one was forced. It was always an option.
Right.
I dare you.
Right.
I think you can still dare people. You just can't. You don't force them.
Yeah. As long as it's not you're not. Yeah. Whatever.
If you're going to get, you probably shouldn't have anybody sleeping in the dead sled. But it was.
I'm going down a rabbit hole just to kind of be a smart aleck. But yeah, I get it.
It was an experience. That's all I can tell you.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Pretty wild.
Yeah.
Cool, man. I do have one. I have one exercise for us. Exercise of the mind, dude.
Oh God.
Coming up with a story to tell Postmate A school students, because why not scare them, right?
Right. It's Halloween. We got a new class coming.
Yeah. So I want to see if I can get your help, telling the story. So, Wormley Creek Channel, right?
Okay.
Wormley Creek has existed since the time that the first Europeans arrived. Yeah. On the eastern coast.
For you guys who don't know, if you've never been to Yorktown, where the Boat Forces Center sits in Yorktown, there actually used to be a village there for 50 years that apparently was bigger than Yorktown. It was called York Village. There's a sign. It's kind of crazy when you walk around and think this used to be the street of a town. Right.
Yeah. This is that's where it is. And before that, I think it was even a Native American site.
Right. We basically stole everything from them.
Yeah. Perfect.
That's cool.
The lights went out. I like it. You guys can't tell because we got these up here, but. So, Wormley Creek existed for eons, right? We've got native populations. We've done the revolution there. We had the settlers before that were probably dying out in droves. And then we come to the Civil War.
Right.
Right? The Civil War, I think, is where Wormley Creek got scary.
Okay.
Because just in... What year did we dredge the channel?
Probably 17.
Interesting story, right?
Yeah.
A couple years ago... The channel that's existed forever got rerouted.
Right.
Why did it get rerouted?
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
You don't know, huh?
I don't.
It deals with the Civil War.
Oh, really?
So during the Civil War, they leveled this whole area that the Boat Forces centers on, where they train all the Postmate students. They leveled it for the Civil War to create an artillery emplacement. During the Battle of whatever, Yorktown probably?
Yeah.
That's
the 1862 Peninsula Campaign.
Perfect. That's what I was going for.
Yeah.
See, that's why I need your help to tell the story. So a Union gunboat's leaving Wormley Creek, or what's left of it, right after they gutted it and made it into a big, just earthworks to protect themselves. Coming out, Confederate battery opens fire on them, right? Guess where that boat sinks?
I'm guessing where they had to route the channel around.
Right at the Channel Junction.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
They just found it on a survey.
That's awesome.
So all these years, you'd think it'd be awesome. It's awesome that we rerouted.
All these years I've been driving over top of a grave.
A grave, right?
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah. So where they rerouted it, why did they do it? Like, why? What was such a priority to do that,
Right.
other than it's not just an archaeological find?
Right.
You've been at Wormley Creek, or you were at Wormley Creek for a long time.
Yeah.
Anything weird ever happen in Wormley Creek?
I mean, other than hitting bottom all the time.
You never had the hands come out of the water? Did you guys like that? That was pretty good. Wasn't it?
That was
It
good.
Boom. Here we go.
We were coming in at night one time, and a lot of times,
You're getting it.
if you've ever been like in East Coast, and I probably was on the West Coast too, but the water doesn't get as warm there. When we get really warm water,
You're getting it now.
you'll
right?
have yeah.
Okay.
When you're getting like really warm water, fish will jump a lot. I'm not a fisherman. I don't even know what kind of fish we have around here besides the tasty ones.
Croaker.
And I don't think they jump, but whatever. You always have fish jumping, but I do remember coming in one time right by where you're talking about, and like fish are jumping, and all of a sudden like there's like kind of a disturbance on top of the water, but it wasn't like it didn't slap like fish. Like it was, I couldn't tell what it was, but because I mean it's dark. I knew know what you're talking about. Yeah.
You're getting into it now.
Yeah,
I feel it.
Yeah, I just needed to build up. That was good.
Oh man, it was crazy.
Right.
So the disturbance, right? Did you see the light?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
man. It almost like the water turns green,
Yes.
and then all of a sudden, the boat stops.
I did not have the boat stop.
I had the boat stop.
Really?
So whether you're coming in or out of the creek, right? You're clutched in the whole time, just moving from A to B, and we're coming through middle of the night, October 31st, probably.
This time of year.
Yeah. And she stops. I've got 8 A school students on board, and they're like, "Oh no, we ran aground." So those times you were running aground, do you think you were really running aground?
I don't know.
Or could have been the hands of those dead Union soldiers
Could have been.
holding you in place, reaching up.
You know,
whatever souls they
I'm
can
not
take to
going to
the
be able
depths.
to tell A schoolers a story with a straight face.
You can't. I was just trying to come up with something. But hey, that's our pretty sweet Halloween episode. I don't know if they're insanely scary stories or not.
Yeah,
but,
if you guys got something cool though, tell us. I mean, I've heard some other cool ones, but I don't know them well enough to try and kind of relate them to you guys. Like, I'm afraid I'd screw them up too bad.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of obviously Coast Guard and
Right.
Especially Lighthouse, Outer
Yeah,
Banks.
if
everybody's got
there's anybody retired, and I know you've probably been retired for a while at this point, who's listening though, who was ever like a lighthouse keeper when we still did that up till I think '83 was when we finally got rid of that overall.
could have been.
You've got to have something. Reach out and tell us, because lighthouses are some scary places.
Just other than the scary stories, you can also give us the good ones. But I would love to know if you have.
Yeah.
The new movie Lighthouse looks
weird.
insane.
Looks super weird.
If your story's that weird, don't call us.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to hear it. But no, hey, thanks guys for listening. Have a great Halloween. If you got kids, enjoy it. Get them out there. You guys get in costume, and Bill and I are going to have some fun with it. And look forward to talking to you guys again. We'll bring more guests next week.
Yeah, happy Halloween, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed it. That was fun.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks for taking the time to listen.
If you liked what this podcast is about and what we delivered, look us up at theyhadtogoout.com or your favorite podcast platform, and like, comment, subscribe, and share so we can keep the momentum up and do bigger things going forward.
Look for a new episode every Sunday. Until then, fair winds and following seas.